The 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix may not have had many overtakes, especially for the lead, but the race had plenty of drama from the very first lap. The Hungarian GP saw Oscar Piastri take his first career win, but many are wondering if this victory was deserved or if it was handed to him by his team.
From a drivers' championship, every point will help, and it's 7 points that I threw away today or gave away today. And
after an exciting qualifying session on Saturday, both the McLarens started on the front row with Lando on the pole. But with Verstappen right behind them, there was a lot of pressure on the Papaya team to maintain their position heading to turn 1. In the past, Lando has never fared well while starting from pole position. He had done it 2 times before last weekend and had never managed to lead at the end of the first lap. The 2024 Hungarian Grand Prix was no different. He lost the lead to his teammate and almost lost second place to Max Verstappen after the first couple of corners. However, Max had gone off the track to get past Lando in the first corner and had to give him back the position. Even still, Lando was not able to get close to his teammate to attempt an overtake. For almost the entire race, it was Oscar ahead of Lando. However, when the drivers had to come into the pit lane for their final stints, McLaren decided to pit Lando a couple of laps earlier, which would undercut Piastri and give him the lead. At the time, McLaren feared that Verstappen was closing in and was a threat to the McLarens. And since Lando is in second place in the championship, the team wanted him in front as it would help him challenge Max. Naturally, Piastri was not thrilled with this, but a few laps later it became clear that Max was not going to catch up with the McLarens as he simply did not have the pace. Besides, Max even had an accident with Lewis Hamilton towards the end of the race, dropping him to 6th position. After this, McLaren decided to insert team orders to bring Oscar back ahead of the lead of the race. Lando was initially skeptical about this, but after a lot of back and forth with the team over the radio, the British driver eventually handed back the position, giving Oscar Piastri his first F1 career win in just his second year in the sport.
And that was the right thing to do. Well done, eventually, Lando Norris.
After the race, there was a lot of controversy talks going around. Many felt that the win was not deserved by Oscar mainly because he was not able to stay close to Lando during the final stint of the race. Norris was clearly the faster driver when on the lead. After the Hungarian Grand Prix, Lando Norris had closed the gap to Max Verstappen in the championship to 76 points. Given that McLaren seems like the fastest car on the grid at the moment, there's no doubt that Lando will be posing a major threat to Verstappen's title chances this year. Fighting for the championship is not something that can be done alone. You need the support of your teammate to make this happen. This was the argument presented by McLaren over the radio to Lando, and it's true. Although McLaren does have the fastest car at the moment, Red Bull have gained an early advantage with their pace at the first few races of the season. So McLaren and Lando Norris are still facing an uphill challenge for both the drivers and the constructors' titles. Yes, Lando was faster than Piastri while on the lead. However, Lando only found himself ahead because McLaren allowed him to undercut Piastri as the situation called for it. Otherwise, any team in this situation will always pit the lead car first. This would have seen Piastri maintain his lead throughout the final stint of the race. Norris himself denied the swap cost him the win, feeling the deciding moment was the start of the race when Piastri overtook him into turn 1. "I lost the race win off the line," he said. "I know that everyone is going to want to say that as a story, that I gave up the race when I didn't. I boxed first and naturally you're always going to undercut. So the team gave me this position and I gave it back. Nothing more than that." The start of the race was very crucial for all the drivers. Lando had a poor start and he paid the price for it throughout the race. Given the nature of the circuit, the car in front will always have an advantage. The Hungaroring is a circuit with very short straights and slow corners. This means that it is very difficult to stay close to the car in front due to the amount of dirty air coming from these modern F1 cars. Even if they manage to stay close, it basically kills the tires and overheats every part of the car. So if you're leading in Hungaroring, you will always have the advantage. Lando is also fortunate that Verstappen went off the track during the start of the race. If he hadn't, Lando would have had another challenging task to get past the 3-time champion. But let's see how this would have played out. If Max had taken the place of Lando, the British driver would not have been able to close in on Max to attempt an overtake, especially when both the cars were on fresh tyres. Lando would have also come under pressure from Lewis Hamilton, who was right behind. The only option for Lando would have been to perform a successful undercut, which would have gotten him ahead of Verstappen. And this would have also made it more difficult for Lando to get ahead of Oscar. The Australian would have taken a much bigger lead as he was faster than Verstappen in that first stint. After the race concluded, Lando said that he knew that he would eventually succumb to the team order either way. "I know what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. Of course, I'm going to just question it and challenge it, and that's what I did. I was going to wait until the last lap, the last corner, but then they said if there was a safety car all of a sudden and I couldn't let Oscar go through, then it would have made me look like a bit of an idiot. Then I was like, yeah, it's a fair point, and I let him go, 2 to go or something. Straight away, I let him go." Since McLaren had not changed their mind about Oscar going through, Lando thought he would wait until the last lap, but if a safety car or a VSC was released, it's unlikely that the race would resume with just 2 laps to go. So instead of risking that chance, Lando decided to play the team game and let Oscar through. Either way, McLaren gained a lot of ground for Red Bull after the Hungarian Grand Prix. With Max finishing 5th and Perez in 8th, McLaren is now only 51 points behind. Another few weekends like this, and we could see McLaren leading the championship. But is McLaren making the right decisions at the pit wall to challenge a team like Red Bull? It has been a while since McLaren was fighting for the championship. The last time they were serious contenders for the championship was in 2012, when they ended up finishing 3rd with 7 race victories between Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button. In the recent past, McLaren has made some questionable strategic decisions. Back in 2021, Lando Norris was looking good for a race win in Russia. But an error in judgment regarding track conditions cost him the victory and allowed a more experienced driver, Lewis Hamilton, to get past. This year, we saw McLaren make the same mistake regarding track conditions at Silverstone. This affected both Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri's results. Both the drivers were on track for a 1-2 finish, but Lando ended up finishing 3rd, while Piastri ended up finishing 4th. But there is a lot of argument on whether McLaren made the right call in Hungary.
No, I think it was fair just to give the position back. I don't want to come across like a guy who's not fair. Oscar's done a lot for me in the past and helped me in many races. He drove a better race than I did. You know, he got a good start, he got a better start.
Do you think the team should have let Lando win the race? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.